Okay, so I am going to paint the walls. I'm using Sherwin-Williams eggshell finish. It's the color called Origami White. I'll show you what the color looks like in a moment. What I like to do when I'm painting is put down a doggy pee pad just to catch any paint that might come with it. Even though I am replacing the carpet, so I don't really care too much about it, but it is just nice to have that down in case there are any spills. Okay, so here's the color.
And now to painting.
Okay, so today flooring should be arriving, but I'm not quite ready to start laying the floors yet. I still need to finish painting in here and doing the accent wall behind the bed. But I did finish cutting in all the way around the room, did some more sanding, and got everything ready to go. So today I'm going to start painting by rolling, and I'm going to be using an 18-inch roller because there is just so much wall to paint. I've also got a really long pole that extends so that way I can get up into the 12-foot ceilings, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to reach it with a normal pole extender. So there's this adapter here that this could work for a normal 9-inch roller, but it extends out so that way you can put a 18-inch on there. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with rolling. I'm really excited about using this 8-inch or 18-inch roller. I've never used one this big before, so we'll see how easy it goes, but it should hopefully make painting really fast. I've got Sherwin-Williams in eggshell finish. The color is called Storm Cloud. It is a dark gray with like a blue-ish hint to it. I've got this large wall, goes all the way up to 12 feet. I'm not cutting in because all of the corners, including the top, is going to have 1x4s on it, so there's no need to really cut in. Oh, of course. As good as I can, so we're just gonna keep going. Okay, so I just got home from work and I'm gonna start painting some of these boards so that way they can be dry before the weekend when I install them as vertical boards on this wall here. So these are 12-foot long boards. Okay, so the boards have dried. I've started stacking them on top of each other right here. These 4 boards right here, 2 stacked on top of each other, are done. These 2 right here, I just painted, so I'm gonna let those dry. And then the other 4 are right there. So I'm gonna use a total of 10 boards to create this accent wall. So what we're gonna have is 1 board along each of these, and then along the sides, 1 all the way along the bottom, and then there'll be a total of 7 verticals, 1 at each of the sides, and then 5 more evenly spaced. So because the ceiling is vaulted, I need to determine what angle I need to cut the vertical boards at and the perimeter boards. So to do that, I picked up an angle finder off of Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks or something. To use it, we just turn it on. Oh, it's upside down. And then you can move this and it tells you what the angle is. So I drew a rough sketch of the wall, and then I'm gonna find out what each of these angles are, so that way I know what angle I need to cut those boards at. Now that I've got my measurements, I'll be able to transfer those onto the boards and cut them at the appropriate angles and at the appropriate lengths, and then I should be good to go. But first order of business, I need to figure out exactly how long I need that board to be. Okay, so now that I've gotten all of my angles and the lengths of my board, I need to figure out what angles I need to actually cut the boards at. So on the sides of each wall, there'll be 1 board right here, which will be at 90 degrees to this. So even though this whole angle right here is 103.5, I need to subtract 90 from that to figure out what angle this is. And I need to do the same over here. So here's my math. So I did 103.5 minus 90 degrees gets me 13.5. This angle right here was a little bit bigger. It was 104.9 minus 90 gets us to 14.9. And now this angle right here, we need to subtract the 90 degrees again because we're going to have 2 boards coming together. I need to divide that difference by 2. Because I'm not going to have one all the way at a straight angle and then cut the other one. They're both going to be at an angle, so that way they both kind of come up like this. That's how I want both of those boards to be. So if we take the difference minus 90 and divide that by 2, that's at 32.85 degrees. So what I need is 2, there'll be another board right here, kind of coming like that. So I'll need to cut this one at an angle as well. It'll be pretty much just at a straight 45 degrees, but once I put these 2 boards up, I'll measure it just to make sure. But it should be at 45 degrees on each side, because when this board and this board meet, that should make this a perfect 90 degree. So then I would cut each of these sides at 45. So we'll have boards like that. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have a total of 7. So there'll be another one right here, another one right here, and again, this is not pretty or to scale. So it'll essentially look like that. Now the height of my floors from here to right here is 96 inches, and from the floor all the way up to this apex is 12. So these will be spaced nicely. This one will be right at that 12 foot. This one will be at 11 feet. This one will be 10 feet, and then this one will be 9 feet tall. So that's what the boards and everything is going to look like. Plus there'll be one more board down here. So these distances aren't going to actually be exactly 9, 10, 11, and 12 feet. It'll be a little bit shy because this board is going to be going right here. I have 1x4s, which are actually 3.5 inches wide. So I'll need to take 3.5 inches off of each of those. And then these are going to have to be cut at angles as well. But those should be at about 45 degrees as long as the rest of my measurements are fine. But like I said, I'm going to first install the trim ones, or the ones all the way around the side, so that way I can just verify that everything is going correctly, and then I'll cut these to the exact length and angles that I need them to be at. Okay, so I've got my first board set up here. I'm gonna make my first miter cut according to my measurements. Get the measurements. The first one that I want to do is I'm gonna do this one first. So that one's going to be at 14.9. And I'm certainly not a pro at this, but I think that was pretty good for my first time using a miter saw. I did the angle the wrong way, didn't I? I sure did. Always put on your safety gear. I had my husband help me install the boards up at the top, and apparently I did not calculate lengths or angles appropriately, so I'm gonna have to cut another piece to fit right in there. So what I did was I took a piece of paper and just kind of held it over that space, and then I drew out a little template and cut it. So I need to cut a piece that is exactly these dimensions out of some of the boards that I already have. Okay. So I've got my board, and I drew on here the dimensions that I need this to be. Let's see how well this fits. It's pretty damn good. And I can fill that in with caulking. So that's what we're gonna do. So now I need to find some more angles. I don't know what angle I need to cut the vertical boards at. So now I need to measure how long this board is going to be, and I need to measure it from this edge because that's going to be the longest side, or the longest part. So I've got my go cut our first board at 102 1/4 length, and then at a 105 degree angle, or I guess really at a 15 degree angle. truth, because I'm obviously not very good at getting these measurements. And that should go right like that. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. Alright, so let's get the construction adhesive on the back of there, get the brad nailer, and then we'll start putting that one in. And for the construction adhesive, I'm using this Loctite Power Grip All-Purpose. This is what's going to affix the board to the wall. And the brad nails help keep it in while the adhesive is drying. Okay, so by the calculations that I did when I was originally putting this together, I determined that the spacing between the boards was going to be 2.75 feet wide. So I want to go out and tape these on here to make sure that those calculations are correct, because obviously I'm not very good at doing the calculations. So you can look at that and see how straight that is. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. Okay, so let me get my tape measure. So my calculations when I put the drawing together was 2.75 feet or 33 inches. Back to the calculating station. Okay, so let's figure out how much space needs to be in between each vertical. So this is not going to be very nice looking, but so we've got these two boards already up, and then the space between them is 178 inches. Okay, and then there's going to be 4 more boards in between them. They'll go all the way up. There we go. So we need to figure out the spacing in between each of these. Okay, so we've got 178 inches total. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 boards, and each board is 3.5 inches. So if we have 3.5 inches times 4 boards, that gives us 14 inches. So we now need to take 178 minus 14, which gives us 164. And then there are 5 spaces, so we need to divide that by 5, which gets us 32.8 inches. So I think when I probably originally measured the wall, I may have been off by a little bit because I had measured that they should be exactly 33 inches apart, but it looks like they need to be 32.8 inches apart. So I'm going to respace these pieces a little bit. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is make a spacer that will go in between each of the verticals, so that way I ensure that I'm getting the correct spacing. So when I had done the measurements, they should be 32.8 inches in between each one. So 0.8 doesn't go well into 16ths, but I'm gonna make it at 32 and 13/16. So if I put right there, then that tells me exactly where I need that board to be. So that's gonna work out perfect. So now we need to cut that board. Poop, now I forget the length I said. Well, let me go back and watch the video and then I'll see what it was. Okay, so this board needs to be cut at 111 3/8 at its longest space. Okay, so here's the current state of affairs of the primary bedroom. As you can see, all that we have left in here right now is the mattress. So I finished the accent wall with all of the boards. I think everything looks really great. I caulked everything, painted over the caulking, so everything looks really nice and seamless.
As a reminder, here is what we started with before, and here is where we are now. If you like this video, please like or subscribe and leave me some comments down below and let me know what you think of this video. Stay tuned for my next project. Thanks!